Hi everybody. So, as you mentioned, my name is Katie Parker. I am a senior at San Ramon Valley High School. And in the spring of my junior year, when I first started out with GSE, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And after my initial experience with the people and the mission of the organization, one thing or another always brought me back. It all started in April of 2015, when I took a random stab at an organization that I'd never been a part of or heard of prior to January of that year. Thanks to my parents' blind faith, I left California that month on a 9-day journey that has ended up being over a year long. To contextualize what I'm about to explain, I would like to say that I've always been the kid who had no idea what they wanted to be when they grew up. When an adult would get down on one knee and ask that age-old question, I wouldn't be able to answer confidently, like the kids who smiled proudly and said fireman, princess, or even astronaut. And that bummed me out. So here's the story of how GSE completely changed that for me. In our lifetime, there are certain images that forever remain vividly imprinted in our minds, as if we saw them yesterday. I encountered one of these while in Ecuador. We had just gotten into the country and had been traveling for what felt like 24 hours. I remember dozing in and out of sleep as we drove through rural Ecuador when we hit a bump where the driver made a sudden shift that jolted me awake. The scene that I awoke to, outside my rain-covered window, was an unshakable one. It consisted of a crowd of people piled into a church in the pouring rain at 3 a.m. on Easter Sunday. The image was fleeting, yet it was burned into my brain. It haunted me. I had a sudden desire to feel a similar passion that these people did. I had never been a religious or spiritual person, but suddenly I felt a yearning for a devotion to a greater power. That searching hung at the back of my mind through the beginning of the trip, until 4 days later, sitting underneath a 500-year-old sabo tree, I was posed a question that truly changed the direction I was taking my life. Our trip leader, Ethan, asked us, "What does nature mean to you?" Every one of us gave answers of our childhood in nature, but we could all tell Ethan wasn't satisfied. He reposed the question and gave us an anecdote to go with it. Something he had heard the Ecuador GSE program director, Ramon, say, which was, "The earth is my church, and Mother Nature is my goddess." It seemed so obvious, yet Ethan and Ramon had unknowingly handed me my answer. Sitting underneath that tree was the closest that I have ever come to spirituality. That devotion gave me what I hadn't truly known I'd been looking for, a faith and a passion. And that faith kept bringing me back to GSE well after the 9-day trip to Ecuador. And after Ecuador, the thing that got me working in my own school garden and my school's own environmental club was the environment that I found a passion for in Ecuador. I didn't need to be abroad to feel the same excitement I did that one great day in April. And at home, I grew to love the SRB garden. It was small, it wasn't very pretty, and compared to some of the other schools in the Contra Costa County, it was practically nothing. But I remember my first watermelon, like it was my first child. And I remember sending my environmental science teacher pictures of all the cucumbers I harvested that summer. I took pride in that garden and everything it represented for me. I then got involved in some of the leadership aspects of GSE, thanks to the best Contra Costa County program coordinator ever, Chrissy. And from there, I met people in Northern California with similar passions. I found a little niche that I could call home, and what I was doing at home was making me just as happy as it did in Ecuador. And within a few months of being back in California, I already knew I was going to be in Nicaragua the next April. And Nicaragua was an amazing experience, after which I returned to California with a passion similar to what Ecuador had given me. And on April 16th of this year, a week after I got back, I heard about the first earthquake in Ecuador. And at first I was shocked, and not sure what to think. Then it dawned on me. The people that had helped me so much, in ways that they may not even know, people that I am emotionally attached to, were living through this tragedy. And there, I felt a sense of helplessness. as I heard about the rebuilding efforts that were swamping the GSE employees, I wanted to know that the people who I'd built such amazing connections with, and their friends and their families, were all going to be okay. And that was when I realized that what GSE has given me, more than anything, is a framework to be a great person and a leader. And now it's my job to apply that to myself and the people that I build connections with in the future. The earthquake in Ecuador made me realize that even though I may not be able to always have the influential trip leaders in my life, I can search for more people like them. GSE teaches how to sustainably grow food and plant trees. But it teaches just as much about how to grow sustainably as a person. Since sustainability is defined as able to be maintained at a certain rate or level, I think it is most fitting to say that the young leaders and people that GSE produces are always growing. And the way that GSE taught us to do so is characterized as sustainable, because our growth can be maintained in any and all situations. The people of the organization, like Chrissy and all of my trip leaders and companions in Nicaragua and Ecuador, and even the people whom I have never met but who have worked so hard to build what I have grown to love, are truly the one thing that keeps me coming back. It's the camaraderie that comes from shared passions and goals. It is similar mindsets, but with so many different ways of reaching them, that have given me a framework for who I am and who I want to share that with. And that is the local and global community that I have found at GSE. Thank you.